Hey there folks, today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the front brake pads on all 2009 through 2026 Ram 1500 Classics. This one in particular is a 2019. So we have the wheel off, jacked up safely on stands, the wheel's chalked, and we have the wheel turned out so we can access the bolts at the back here. And we go to our brake fluid reservoir right here, just pop the cap off so that when we push the piston back, it can relieve the pressure back in when the fluid goes back in. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing we got to do is remove these two caliper bolts right here. They're 13 millimeter. And you may need to hold with an adjustable the slider pin depending on if it wants to free spin. All right, then we're going to grab a flat blade screwdriver, slide it in between the bracket and the caliper, and just pry on it to bring it free from the pads. And we're going to lift it up and set it safely on top of the rotor to make sure there's no pressure on our line here. And now our old pads and hardware clips come out, and just note the orientation of the hardware clips on the end when you put your new ones on. Next we grab a wire brush and we're going to just brush down our bracket here where the ears meet. Make sure we get any rust and corrosion off of it. Next we're going to inspect our slider pins, push them in and out. If they got good movement, just leave them the way they are. If not, just pop them out, clean them, and re-grease them and reinstall them. Then we're going to take some brake lubricant, put it on our screwdriver or a brush, and then just brush the contact points on the bracket. Next we grab our new pads and our hardware clips, and we're going to put them on just like so. I find it easier to put them on the pads and install the pads onto the bracket. And you want these little ears on the outside of the bracket. Same thing for our other one. Now these pads we're installing today don't have any wear indicators on them, so they're the same on the inner and outer. All right, next we got to get the piston retracted inside. We got a dual piston here. We're going to flip it gently upside down on top of the rotor. And I got this universal pad spreader. We're going to slide that in, and then we're going to tighten down, and it'll open up and compress the pistons. All right, once you feel it bottom out, then you go loosen it again and pop the spreader out. Now we inspect the seals, make sure there's no fluid coming out, so there's no leaks, and make sure the piston has a nice surface on it. Then I'm going to apply some brake lubricant to the ears on the caliper here, and also to the pistons, so all the contact points are well lubricated to prevent noise down the road. For that, I'm just going to use the packet that came with our pads. And just use the cloth provided with your pads to wipe your hands. Now we're going to put the caliper back on. You're going to have to squeeze the pads in and try to get the caliper over while you squeeze them. All right, next we put our caliper slide pin bolts back in, and you may need to wiggle the caliper around until you find its home. And we're going to tighten these down to 31 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so all that's left now is to pump the brake pedal. I pump it after every side that I do, just to make sure everything's all good. Then we just get our wheel back on, and if you have cone-shaped lug nuts, then they go to 130 foot-pounds of torque. If they're flat lug nuts, they go to 140 foot-pounds of torque. Get them back on, get your brake fluid reservoir cap tightened back on, hood closed, go for a test drive, make sure everything's all good, go nice and slow, and hopefully this was helpful to you guys. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe.